Hello everyone, hope you had a wonderful weekend. Again, apologies that I did not release the video yesterday. I was spending some time with family and unable to really get back to the computer in time to put out the weekly update as planned. So again, apologize, but let's go ahead and just jump into it now. So again, last time that I had posted the update for everybody on YouTube, that is, I expected to see the price of the dollar just kind of pulling back here off the recent highs again, very nicely done. It came right back into that targeted area around at 97.30 or so. And now what I'm really watching for is, are we going to be able to hold support at that 97.20 area? It looks to me like we should continue to see some pressure on the dollar here. It is possible for us to maintain price action roughly near that level to around 97.07. If we end up giving this area up, then we should continue to see the price of the dollar continue to dwindle and start heading back into around that 96.50 area, where we should catch some support and look for another bounce back up into around the 97 to around that 97.28 area. So again, if we do give up the higher level of support here on that 97.17-ish zone, even further down to around 97, that breaks down, then again I'll be looking for support to be caught. And if you look to your left here, you can see obviously we've had a lot of price action within that general vicinity around that 96.50, 96.55-ish area. And further, if that does break down, then we'll be looking for a little bit further 96 for the low before we see another bounce off that level into 96.50, as high as maybe 97 to 97. 25-ish, 30-ish. So I do believe in the near term we should see a little bit more weakness here in the dollar, assuming that we do give up the 97.17-ish area. If that does in fact break down, then we'll be looking again 96.50. If it holds, then there's a possibility for us to try to swing back up here, test 97.65, and then if we hold 97.30 like so, then we'll be looking for another push back up into around the 98 area. So again, keep an eye on that 97.30 area. If that ends up holding as support, then we'll be looking for some consolidation at that level before another push back up into 98. If it is unable to recapture that 97.30 and breaks below the 97, obviously we'll be looking next stage lower, 96.50. And here is an update on gold. Looking at the daily time frame, you can see from last edition that I put out, was expecting to see the price kind of come back up and test that 1292 area. Still has not happened as of yet, and it still obviously has a lot of time to get there. So the way it's looking right now, it's kind of range bound in a tight range. I'm watching very close around at 1278, 1280 area to around that 1286, 1290 area. Beyond that, we have a little bit higher level of resistance around 1293, 1294. Still could end up holding price down a little bit. Now, in the event that we do go ahead and break, and that would mean obviously that the dollar is breaking down into that 96.50 area, then there's that potential move breaking out and up above that 1297 and back into around at 1305. So really, we are still looking at a very tight range here between that 1278, 1280-ish up to around 1284, 1285. Beyond that, another level of resistance around 1294. Again, if we start consolidating outside of that around that 1294 area, then that'll give you the clues that'll be a next level move into that 1305, 1307, and potentially even higher. As all of you that are paying attention to what's happened over the past 24 hours, there's a lot of things going on with Iran, and oil is obviously starting to get impacted as well to a degree. So there's a lot in flux right now. Tariffs on deck for Friday, so we'll have to see how everything plays out. Just take it step by step, see what happens based upon each individual price zone, whether it's broken to the upside or downside. Obviously, that remains to be seen, but right now we are still within a range. If we end up holding that 1280 area, then it gives more credence to a possible move above that 1294 area, but again, still need to make that consolidation, and then we get that move back up into the 1305, 1307 area. Again, if the dollar does end up holding that 97.30 area or regaining it, then you'll be seeing gold start pushing to the downside. Now again, downside seems to be somewhat limited at this time, so make sure you just watching those key levels here for each of these range moves to basically dictate which direction it's going to end up taking. But I do believe in the near term we are going to see at least up into that 1294, 1295 area. Let's go ahead and continue. Let's continue moving forward here. Again, I apologize. I've been up since 4. That's why I like to do the videos over the weekend. That way I don't have to kill myself too much during the week. So again, was expecting to see crude. Again, looking at this daily time frame, coming back down into the 60-20s. Successfully hit it, and obviously we had a pretty nice bounce today. Now, the levels that we should be watching, I'm going to have to drop down just a little bit to the 4-hour time frame. And basically what I'm watching for here is whether or not we can sustain a move above that 60 to 80, 62.75 area. So far it's been proving pretty good resistance. In the event that we end up holding that 61.94 area, if this ends up holding, then we should end up seeing another challenge of that 62.75, 62.80 area, and then we could have another possible move up higher into 63.37 to around 64.50, 64.80 even. So if you look back in time, obviously there's a little bit of a trendline resistance that could be tested as well on that upside here, and then we'll be looking for another pullback here off that level here, back down and through, in my opinion, back down into the 60.24. But again, there's many factors here, so you need to see how these ranges are either held or broken over time. So I still think, again, if we hold 61.94ish, break back above the 62.75 and hold it, that's going to be the trigger that could possibly take us back up into around that 64.50 to 64.75 area. And I do believe at that point in time we should see another pullback, at least back to that 62.75, 62.80 area, which we are first tested today, obviously, and again we resisted. So let's see what happens if 61.94 ends up holding. Then we could see another push to the upside. Now conversely, if we do have a failure of that 61.94, then obviously that gives a lot of credence to another move back down into the 60.30. So very much depends upon what happens at this point right in here. So far, obviously, we're seeing oil 62.30. Again, could see that move push back up into 62.75. Not to repeat myself more than 7 times here, but very key here is to get back above that 62.75, 62.80 level. And lastly here, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and save this so that I can reference it for the next video. And we can go ahead and move on to Nat Gas. And I've been seeing a lot of tweets about traders being extremely bullish for some reason on natural gas, like it's going to do something positive here. But trends are, like I think I even said in my last video, the trend for natural gas has been a couple big moves to the upside here over time. And in fact, I could just go through it real quick. I mean, if you look at your monthly time frame and you go back, I mean, several years now, I mean, you're talking about decades now, you can see that, a majority of the price action typically, for me, from what stands out to me as far as like a baseline, thinking of it like a kind of like a heart monitor, the baseline basically is between that 2.87 area down to around the 1 point, let's call it 1.3, with obviously we have these extreme areas of price movement, but again it always comes right back down into this baseline zone that obviously I've been referencing for quite some time to my members and occasionally on YouTube itself. So I don't know why everybody is getting so overly bullish all the time on natural gas when historically speaking it reverts back to the mean or the baseline range that I just kind of showed everybody there. So looking at that 4-hour time frame, once it loads back up here, I still need to adjust that fib. There we go. So, again, was looking for natural gas to pop back up into around 262-ish, 263. Obviously, we met that level again. Now, the other thing that I was pointing out to my members, and obviously this needs to go, it's annoying me, is we had a we had basically established a low here around the 247 area, and we were trying to essentially build upon a series of a higher lows, and it just really hasn't been materializing. It's just continuously breaking down and breaking down. Again, we've been breaking below that 253 area, another key area that I've been watching here. So as far as the overall expectation on my end, I still think that if I'm going to jump back to the 4-hour because it's a little bit easier for me to see for everybody. So again, if we give up this level, which we already closed below that 253 area, and it's been proven as resistance here in the recent past, and I like to focus on that area because again, if it does not hold the support, as most of you know that have been trading for some time, if it folds below a support level and is unable to recapture it, tests it, fails, then obviously if if you look to your left, you're going to be looking at, again, 247 as the next test. Now, if that ends up holding, which is possible, could end up seeing another rally back up into around the 252, 253-ish area. If we recapture that area, then obviously we'll be looking for consolidation, support test, and then another move back up. Now, again, couple levels that we need to watch for here. You want to make sure you're paying attention to what we've been seeing back here in this zone. We were trying to kind of hold this higher level support around 256, let's call it, unable to do so. And again, another area to pay attention to, as I pointed out, was just about, and I let go of my trend line. There we go. So again, we closed below this area, this 253 area that I was mentioning just a few moments ago. If we are unable to get back above this area, then again we should see that test coming sooner than later. If we get back above it, then we could possibly start consolidating within this area and then try for another move back up into the 26 to 262 area. Now, right now, in my opinion, I'm leaning bearish here. I still expect to see that 248 tested sooner than later, specifically because we closed below that 253 area that I was watching. So I think that we'll see a move back down to 248, probably see another move back up above 253 here, a little bit of consolidation in this channel, and then if we can get back above the 255, then we'll be running back up in the 262-ish area. So that's what I'm basically paying attention to here at this time. I still would like to see another retest of that 247.7, 248 low. If it can hold, then there is possibility that, again, we could bounce back up. So then we have a few more different zones to pay attention to in order for us to see some kind of an upside. So again, just pay attention to what the market is showing you here, and again, just to kind of show you, you should always be paying attention to recent levels of resistance and price or trend changes. There we go. So again, that could be another area to be an issue around that 256, 257 area. So we'll see what happens here, but I do think that near term we should be looking for at least that 248 test again, and then a little bit of a bounce back off that level. Now, if we fail to get back above this, then we're going to be looking at even further downside below that. So that should probably happen in my next video next weekend that I'll be putting out. So we'll see what happens from there. If anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, go ahead and reach me at thetradersperspective@gmail.com. Till then, next weekend, green trades to you all. Be safe, use your stop losses, and just make sure that you're keeping an eye on what the price action is doing, and don't trade mainly off of the news. Bad idea.